IED blew up directly under me and blew a hole into the bottom of the striker and threw me out of the striker. I cracked my skull open, ruptured my spleen, and I lost both my legs.
It was just full-fledged, outright firefight, and I'm sitting in the middle of a bridge like a duck, you know, with my leg laying about a foot away from me.
The blast from the back door came through my shoulder and shattered my collarbone, causing massive nerve damage and a lot of blood loss and head trauma.
The ball bearing parts just bounced off the armor. The platter charge skipped off the road and came back up to the bottom part of my door and just took both legs off.
Their stories are heartrending, but in many respects, the service members you just heard from are fortunate. In earlier conflicts, many of them might have died on the battlefield. As of mid-May 2005, there have been more than 13,000 American war casualties in Iraq and Afghanistan. About 1,300 of those have been killed in action. That's about 1 death for every 10 casualties. As recently as Operation Desert Storm in 1991, 1 of every 4 casualties died. On this edition of Recon, we'll meet some of the battlefield survivors and explore changes in military medicine that's helping bind their wounds. Petty Officer Gary Burris started working as an X-ray technician in the late 1990s, when the equipment was still heavy and cumbersome, before digital imaging. Now he can roll an X-ray machine right into a patient's room. Today, an X-ray of Marine Lance Corporal Juan Pereira from Atlanta, hospitalized at the National Naval Medical Center after being injured by a car bomb in Iraq.
What really tugs at your heart and what really gets you is the fact that they're 17, 18, 19-year-old, and they're no longer kids. They're serving their countries. They're soldiers, you know, they're Marines, they're sailors, but they're so young.
The youth of so many of those wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan helps them recover more quickly. They're strong and in good physical shape. Specialist Jared Fields lost his foot when he drove over an improvised explosive device, an IED.
I can't wait to get back to playing basketball. That's a big thing. I ain't got to walk. As long as I can play basketball, I'll be good.
More than 4,000 service members wounded in the war on terrorism have come here to Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington, D.C. for advanced treatment. There will likely be more, even though the insurgents have increasingly directed their attacks at the new interim Iraqi government. Coalition service members still face violence most every day. Those men and women have better individual protection than ever before. Better helmets, better body armor, better vehicle armor. Also, a retooled military medical system now supplies forward surgical teams, combat support hospitals, better trained medics, and quick evacuation for the wounded. The wounded who can't be returned to duty in 72 hours, about half of all the wounded, are airlifted to Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany.
We have received patients as soon as 12 hours post-injury from the battlefield.
Major Kendra Wyatt is head nurse for inpatient orthopedics at Landstuhl. Most seriously injured patients she sees will only be here until they're stabilized enough to be flown back to the U.S., about 3 days.
Our role is to stabilize and to begin the road to recovery. And so you enjoy those 3 days that you have with them, you know, no matter how stressful they are, no matter how tedious they are.
Her patients have been through so much.
And the vehicle that hit us got off the vehicle, or got off the road just like any other vehicle would have. It was a red four-door Opel hatchback. It was pretty new. Then as we were passing it, just heard a big bang, got rocked forward, and I knew exactly what it was when it happened. My door flew open. And I looked back to see what hit for sure, and it was the car. It was like on fire and burning to the ground. And then I felt like a sharp pinch in my leg, so I reached down to feel where my leg was, and it wasn't there.
Air Force Surgeon Timothy Woods finds the attitude of arriving service members remarkable.
2 biggest priorities is, one, when can they get back with their unit, irregardless of what their injuries are, and their other feeling is that how are their buddies doing?
Colonel Rhonda Cornum, the commander at Launchstool, has seen the dramatic improvements in survival rates among the wounded since she was deployed in Operation Desert Storm.
I attribute it to better body armor, I attribute it to better medical care downrange, and I attribute it to better ability to transport people. Really, those three things are, I think, the key to what's been going on.
As the wounded recuperate, there are remarkable advances available to them, particularly in artificial limbs. Amputees learn to control prosthetic arms and hands with muscle and electronic impulses.
Advances in prosthetics in the last 10 years have been the same as the 100 years before that or something. I mean, it's really amazing in terms of the computerized stuff that's coming out.
Sergeant Courtney Clemens has been fitted with what's called a C-leg. A computer chip in the prosthetic knee controls balance, stride, and other aspects of walking.
But with a pair of pants on, you can't even tell I have this leg. And it's like, it builds a morale. It's like, just like a regular person. It's just something that you deal with internally. You become comfortable with it. Once you can accept what happened to you, then you can move forward. But if you don't ever accept what happened to you, it's like real hard to cope with it or whatever.
As of April 30th, 268 amputees from all services had been treated in Army hospitals during the war on terrorism. 238 of those came to Walter Reed.
I was blown up on December 22nd, woke up on December 31st.
The severity of some of the injuries means patients have to be sedated for extended periods, often while multiple operations are performed. Sergeant Michael Buyas lost both his legs to an IED blast in Mosul, Iraq. Caregivers say he's making remarkable progress.
A lot of back muscles, you're working on back muscles and stuff because it's a big part of walking, using your back, and you never know it until you get on your new prosthetic legs.
Staff Sergeant Jay Fondren also lost both legs to an IED.
If it hadn't been for the modern, combat medicine and the training that the medics get and the training that the guys we get before we deploy, and the new technology they have, I wouldn't have made it out. If I didn't have my body armor on, I'd have been done.
He says he accepted the loss of his legs almost immediately.
There's days when I miss having my legs, but when I look back at what all we accomplished and the freedoms that we've given the Iraqi people, it was worth it. So I don't regret, anything. You can't look at it like I got to live like this for the rest of my life. You look at it, all right, what are we going to do today? What's new today? What can I do today that I couldn't do yesterday?
Usually after an amputation, they're so swollen, just like any other surgery. But they end up being real swollen. And if you look at the difference, this is the one that we started with, and that was only a week ago. And you can see that there's a substantial size and shape difference. Typically in private practice, we just wait until the leg gets smaller and then we treat them. Here, we don't wait for the leg to get smaller because we got to go. They got therapy, they're getting weak as they're sitting and everything else.
How's it? It's all right.
The great thing is they're in such good overall shape, physical shape, that it's just like, I want my leg, and that's all they care about. And that's all I care about doing. It's just like, you want it, fine, we'll get it to you.